Well, you'll remember from last Friday's devotion that Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world." And he's the fulfillment of the Daniel chapter 2 vision that Daniel interpreted that said he was going to reign forever, long after Pilate is dead. So verse 37, Pilate's following through after the statement of Jesus. He said, "So you are a king?" And Jesus answered, "You say correctly that I am a king. For this I've been born, and for this I've come into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." In 1 John chapter 5, John is speaking to believers, and he says, "We know that we are of the truth." So when you become a believer in Jesus, you have a capacity to understand God's eternal spiritual truth. And Jesus said, I'm that incarnate. Remember John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. You have everlasting life by receiving him. He's the way to the Father, and all truth is his truth. So Pilate makes the statement after that. Verse 38, half of it. Pilate said, "What is truth?" Do you realize postmodernism asks the same question? You actually have kids being taught in some schools that there's no such thing as absolute truth. That what's true for you isn't necessarily true for me. That is nonsense. And it's not brand new, is it? I mean, Pontius Pilate's doing the same thing. What's truth? If there's no such thing as truth, there's no such thing as absolute right. And so you can feel pretty good about any decisions that you make. If you're being disobedient to God, if you're living an immoral or a perverse lifestyle, well, there's no such thing as truth. What is truth? And so we make ourselves comfortable in our unbelief and unrighteousness, which is exactly what Pilate was doing. And of course, Jesus was about to die for Pontius Pilate, and it doesn't say that Jesus jumped all over him, in that particular case, but what is truth? When I would read that about Pilate, it's like, man, that is so crazy, but it's so typical of these days. Well, then how do you get to be of the truth, it says? Jesus said, everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. Well, he put it pretty well in John 8:31 and 32. He said, if you continue in my word, you're really my disciples, and you'll know the truth, and the truth will make you free. You follow Jesus, you'll learn the truth. Isn't it great to know why you exist, and to know how to have eternal life, and to know that you do have eternal life, and to know that you also are learning more and more what life and eternity are all about? Yeah, it's very fulfilling. Have a wonderful walk with God. Have a great day.